Hello, sewing friends. I am going to try to talk quietly because I have my mic on and it picks up everything. So I'm going to try to limit my movement as much as possible when I'm trying to explain something. So I have this tunic pattern. It's Yaffe sews, YAFFE sews. I've made it a couple times. The husband likes it. My son likes it. So I have this cotton gauze here, and I got it on sale. And I realized why it was on sale because right down the middle is like a fade line. You can't really see it up here, but down here there's a fade line going here. So next time when I buy fabric on a discount, I'm going to have to open it and look at it because I don't know if I would have seen that or not if I had not opened it. So what I'm going to do is, I know that the pattern is 13. I need 13 inches to have enough fabric for the pattern piece. So I'll just get this back. And so almost 13. All right, that's 13. So I'll just go ahead and pin that here so it doesn't move. And this way I am not getting that fade line in my garment. I'm going to cut around it. So instead of folding the fabric in half and working with one folded end all the way down, I am only folding in what I need. So one thing I like about this is that it's wrinkled and has some texture. And so you really don't have to worry about ironing it. So this is just the front or the back. I thought it was 13 inches. Oh, I think it was 14 inches. All right, I thought it was 13. Okay. All right, I'm going all the way up as far as I can because I need all of this 2.5 yards. Just want to make sure I'm catching everything. Awesome. Well, I know the mic is picking up all the crunching. On this hollow table. Okay, this is the back. And so I'm going to put a little snip in there to remember where to center, because this gets stretched out fairly quickly. And put that to the side. Now I don't do the other side. Oh, yeah, I didn't do the other side. I just did the bottom. There's not enough to fold in on both sides. So I need to get this side. Thought there was going to be enough for me to make a pair of a little wrap skirt or a pair of shorts for me. I thought I got 3.5 yards, but I think I only got 2.5. So I need to line this up because this is right. So, yep. And down here we have to go over some more. Okay, now I'm going to do the front out of this piece here. I'm going to match up my fold on the front. Make sure I'm touching. Make sure my sleeve has full coverage, because you don't want the fabric underneath to be not matched, because then you cut your pattern out, and if you don't have a full shoulder on the bottom layer, you will not be able to, well, you can still make your shirt. You just have to hide your seams. Be creative. So as I'm pinning my fabric, you know, so you'll see I lift it up, I move the fabric around. When it's a loose fabric, especially knitting or some type of stretch, then yeah, I'm very loose with my pinning compared to how I used to be when I first started sewing. I was meticulous in pinning and laying out the pattern on a fabric. I guess you can say when I first started sewing, I was I played by the rules. See how this fabric is? See how it rolled up? You would not have seen me do that back in the day. That would have been well, I was hard on myself. I would have said, "Ah, this ain't working." Watch this. I just moved it. I think I have videos where I'm laying out a pattern, and it took me a good probably 30 minutes. That was back then. All right, we all grow, except for me. I still can't what's the word? Cut a straight line. So now I'm gonna cut the front. This is in my way. Okay. I'll cut a V in here, even though I don't think I actually need it. All right, I'm not doing the front pocket. Maybe would he like that? Maybe he might like that. Let's see if I have enough. The sleeve. So on the sleeve is where I kind of mess up what's the front and what's the back. And there is a front and a back to this fabric. Ask me how I know. So this one I have to be a little bit creative with the width, because I don't have a lot to play with, but I will make it work, and it means I might have to make the sleeves on the arm a little shorter. But all I'm trying to do right now is get this on grain, somewhat on grain. So I gotta figure out kind of where I'm at. So this is where I'm at. And I'm just going to follow. I'm just looking at my grain line here. So now I will go from the edge, say we're going to go to 12. 12 down here. Yep, this is 12. So this is 12. I'm going to make it short sleeve. I have to extend my grain line. I didn't do this the last couple of times. I kept saying, extend the grain line, extend the grain line. That always works. So another thing that I wanted to pay attention is I wanted to look at the sleeve. So when I hold the sleeve like this, yeah, because I thought there was a curve right here. But I don't think, it's not here anymore. It's not a curve. Put this all the way to the end. Nope. So the sleeves are right here for the short sleeve. So I'm going to go where I have this mark right here. Because I did cut my sleeve crooked. There, that's the length of the sleeve, including the hem. So now I can put this on the grain. Guess where I don't have the line? Up here at the top, 12 inches. Boom, boom, boom. So now I can line this up here. Line this up at the bottom. And then I will go ahead. Oh, that's an actual ink pen. We don't want to do that. That's where we go. So now I'm going to roughly, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I am drawing this, my sleeve cap. And then I have my line here. I'm going to slide this over, and I'm going to put my line right there. And that is going to be my sleeve. So I'm going to cut the top. Oh my goodness. Well, he's just loud on the phone, but he doesn't know I'm down here recording, so. So here is that piece. Let me mark. Oh, where is it at? Just freaking disappeared on me. All right, so now I have that. Now I have to get it lined up with here. Oh, I gotta use a friction pin. So draw a line here, and then I go to this side. Draw a line. I think this is it. Let's go out a little bit further. There we go. I missed it. Okay. So here is the sleeve. I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to put my pin so I know that this is the right side. Okay. I'm going to match up my sides here. So you see this right here. This is why it's better to get this all situated before you sew it together. So this is where my shoulder, my underarm is going to be. So I want to decrease that any. But I do want to taper it just a little bit from the underarm. And then I'll cut that up to the tip. I don't want to cut any of that off. And then here is my sleeve that needs to be tapered some. There we go. So it's going to come around the arm. Here. And so I think this is the front. This is the front. So up here in the seam allowance, I'm going to put an F. Oh, you know what? Let's not. Let's, these are arbitrary markings, but it'll just help me know. Single notch for the front, double notch for the back, pin is for the right side of the fabric. And there I have a sleeve. This is recycle. So now I got to cut my other sleeve out. So let's mark 12 inches from this edge. We're going to mark it right here. Let's just put a pin in here. Just to mark the center. Let's do this side too. And 12. Now I'm going to lay it face down. Where's my top notch pattern? Stretching out to my side. Here is the top notch right here. Feel me? Okay. So I have more down here than I have up there. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to come down a little bit further to the 12. So let's put the edge here. Line up the edge of the fabric. Slide this down. Boom. That's where we shall be. Let me mark my front. Here's the top. It's here. This is the back. And where's the top? I know it's around here somewhere. And then the yoke. So I need to fold this in half. So I'm drawing this line because I need to get a straight edge. All right, that's good. So then I fold this on the straight edge right here. Let's see if I have enough. I'll go a little bit further. Like that. Here we going all the way down. Okay, so I plan to make this bigger. So I have to, now this is, I need to keep this in place. Should I do this side or this side? Nope, this, I'll do this side. I'm going to draw what I need. I'm going to draw the pattern out. And actually, I'm going to make this straight here. So here's the inside. For the second shirt, do you want me to put a front pocket on it?
No, you can put mine up. Use some initials. I don't care about no pockets. I want initials. I like official joints, branded stuff. WP, how about that? WP.
Well, I'll see. I don't even know.
That's why I prefer that. Still have a pocket. What am I gonna put in there? Pen?
It's a front pocket. It's a kangaroo pocket.
I don't even like you act like I know what a kangaroo pocket is.
Well, oh my gosh. Look at.
Oh, you mean, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want that.
Okay.
I'd rather have my initials.
We're going to go ahead and how many? An inch and a half? An inch and a half. See if this is going to work. So. There. I do not know. So I can't, what doesn't change is this part right here. Just making it thicker in the front. And I've learned that it's best to leave this, when you're doing the yoke in such flimsy fabric, leave this in and interface everything, and then cut that out later. Because if your fabric isn't laying perfect, you can interface the fabric with a little shift in it. So this, I'm going to, I don't need this anymore. I don't need, put this aside. So I'm going to cut this straight across. So now I'm going to use ink in here, because this, when I interface this, it's going to, this other line is going to disappear. There, I have my whole yoke, nice square yoke. Then the V comes right here. Okay, so that is fine. So now, maybe, let's see if I have enough in here. I don't. So I went out an inch. I went out 1.5 inches. So put this right here. Need my pins. I put that here. Okay. 1.5 inches. Oh, I'm not gonna make it. I do not have enough. I split it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it on the bias. I don't even really think, you know what? It's going to be interfaced. I don't care. I don't care. I watch Project Runway, and I don't listen to everything that happens, but I've never heard someone say, oh my gosh, I don't have enough to cut the fabric on green. I ain't never heard it. 1.5 inches. So I wanted to show kind of why I didn't cut that neck part out. So I'm going to lay it on the interfacing like this. And if I didn't have that piece here, this part of the facing can start to move. It's happened to me before. So I have this in here, and I'm just going to lay this right along there. Whoop. And then I'm going to cut around. Like this. Because all these little pieces can be used for something else. Like buttons, when you're doing buttons and you have to interface the area for the button. Okay, I'm not cutting out the whole thing, just this part. So then I take this over and I'm going to go ahead and fuse it. So I'm going to show, kind of see how wonky that can be. I tried. I cut along the line, but it just doesn't work out for me. Look at that. So how do I fix that? So this looks like a good curve compared to this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half to match up the sides here. And then inside, just got to match up anything. I got to match up these corners. All right, so this side, oh, let me put this here. Okay, this side, so I'll go ahead and get that cut. Here is where I need to cut one up and down. Here. I'm going to take little baby steps. Oh Lord, did I get it? Okay, I think I got it somewhat. I see a little, oh. Whew. So here is the top. And then when this gets sewn on, I'm going to use my, what's this thing in my hand called? Do I have this straight? I feel like something's not straight here. Hold up. This goes here. Let me find the center of this. Match up these inside corners. Because when I extend it, just when I line this up, I'm looking at the angle. So here's the center. There it goes. So this piece gets cut off. Almost caused a catastrophe over here. And then this gets cut off. Because I'm only extending the width. So now I'll take this over to here. Get that on there. Look at this. I was going to hurt myself. And what I mean hurt myself, make myself do work that I don't need to do, which causes my brain to hurt. Now, when this gets on here, I will fix those afterwards. Again. That's where those markings are. Which means this needs to come off. Then I fold this because I just, I don't want my neck facing or yoke to be lopsided. All right. And there we go. So now, since I got the inside here, I'm going to use this to draw my shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just need to put a line here. So now I need my erasable pen. And then I come down 4 inches. How far did I come down? Did I write it on here? Yes. So I come down to right here. And then I am going to, so it's opening up right here. I'm going to mark that here. And then I'm going to mark the other side. And then I'm going to go 1/4 inch over from there on that side. And I'm going to do 1/4 inch to the other side. And then from there, it is always a good idea to mark out your seam allowance on curves. There's nothing wrong with giving yourself guide stitching lines when you're sewing in a circle, because there's a lot of movement, and you just want to make sure that you don't serve a wonky collar, because that's the first thing people see is the hold around the neck part and the front of the collar. So I've marked my seam allowance. So then this is where I'm going to pivot here and here. So I'm going to mark that and connect to there. Then I am going to take this here. I'm going to draw a line. And then here to here, draw a line. And that's going to be my stitching line and then my V. And then on the back piece, I want to mark my stitching line. And then, all right. So this gets sewn together. Whoop, almost messed up. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? And see, cutting that angle. Now I get this perfect little line up right here. I'm going to pin this. I got to change the thread out my machine. Then I'm going to pin out this side. Pinning the way that I'm going to sew. and the bottom where I want the hem, because serging this can stretch it, distort it. And I like to stitch a line so I know exactly where I need to press and then where I can put the serging, because I'm not a serging expert by any means. So go ahead and stay stitch. So I'll do the same thing for the other piece. Oh, I forgot to do the hem. You don't have to do this for all our projects, but for me, when it comes to fabric that can get distorted, I like to determine where my stitch is going to be. So I'm going to make this 1 inch. I'm going to make it my longest stitch because I'll probably take it out. And I do all this whenever the fabric is taken right off the table so that I get the stitch where I want it to be, because after you start moving the fabric around and you're putting in the sleeve and you're putting in the facing, this type of fabric can get distorted. And again, I don't backstitch. So now I can press this, and then however wonky my serging edges want to get, I don't have to worry about, but I know that this is stitched straight across the bottom, that I'm going to have my hem is going to be equal all the way around. And when did I learn how to do this? Oh, it was a tailoring class. You can learn a lot from a tailor. So it's just the basting stitch all the way across the bottom. And then I'm also going to do the same thing with the sleeves so that everything has a nice straight hem. Right, so I just wanted to show you what I've done. So after this is one of the sleeves, I stitched 1 inch from the edge, and then I pressed this up. Let me zoom out some. I pressed this to the wrong side so that's how I want the hem to look. And so kind of look at that edge. See how I stitched straight across, but see how it gets like it gets a little wavy. So knowing that I have that stitch line, because when it gets stretched on a stitched line, it's going to even out. But now I can serge through here and I don't have to worry about serging straight, but I will have a straight hem. So when the sleeve is brought together, I have a clean hem for the sleeve. So now I'm going to put my front and the back together, and I'm going to do a French seam. So I have pin marking my wrong right side. So I'm going to take my 2 wrong sides and stitch them together. Just making sure I can see the pins. Okay. This is wrong side and wrong side. Matching up my sleeves here. I'm going to stitch these a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to match up my end, I'm going to pull, but not too too far. I'm going to get my end straight, and I'm going to loosen it up. I'm going to stitch straight across, keeping everything nice and even. One side, making sure you don't get anything twisted up. I'm going to put the other side together. Wrong sides. Match up my ends here. Hold this end, pull this straight. Now for the French seam, you have to trim down the seam allowance. So that was a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So start over here. I'm going to trim this, pretty much cutting it close to the stitching line, but not too close. Just enough that it's not going to peek out the other side. So now this can be turned over. Now it's right sides facing. I'm going to close this up. So I'm just going to lay it under here to get started. So now it's going to be 3/8 of an inch. So now I'm going to get I'm going to just get my seam here nice and flat. Back stitch a little bit. So I want my seam to be right on the edge. Okay. And I'm just going to work it as I go. If it becomes unruly, then I might have to take it to the ironing table. Look at that. Yep. And everything is seamless. And gotta press the seam down flat. And that'll be that. So yep, that is. So now I do the other one. So remember, it's wrong sides together. I'm gonna trim my seam allowance. There we go. Make sure my seam is visible and even. Stop right there. go. So now I will press the seams flat, and then yeah, the shoulders are together, and it's nice clean finish on the inside, and these will get pressed to the back. And then I'll put just a little bit of sticky double stick tape right here in this corner, just to make sure that my seam right here stays flat, so that whenever I go to sew the sleeve in, I won't forget, because what I don't want to happen is for my seam to twist where one end is going to the front and the other is going to the back. So I'm just going to put like a little tiny piece of sticky tape, double stick tape on the corners right here to keep them down. So now I'm going to do the same thing for my sleeve. I'm going to sew the sleeve on flat. So meaning I'm going to open it up here, and I'm going to sew it on flat, wrong sides together, trim it, fold it right sides together, sew it again to create the French seam the same way that I did here. So here's my center front, my center back. I forgot to mark my center back, so I'm going to fold my facing in half, and I'm going to put a little snip here. Right sides together. I'm going to get it in there good. All right. Now I'm going to the shoulder, getting this hem, not hem, this seam matched with the seam over there. Okay, so now I'm going to my other shoulder seam. I'm just making sure they line up. I'm going to put a pin right through that seam. I can feel it going in on the other side. Now I'm going to take my front divot, match it with the front divot of the tunic, and I'm going to put some pins on both sides. I want the everything to lie flat, and so here's what I do. I actually baste this by hand, because when I get underneath the machine, I don't want to deal with these pins. I want the pins to be off and doing their own thing. All right, I'm just laying this flat here. And then I'm going to pin down my opening, because I do not want this to move at all. I want this to stay flat, so I'm over pinning it. I don't want it to move whatsoever. Now I'm going to take my basting thread and a needle, putting here at the bottom, and I'm just doing a basting stitch, keeping this. If I feel like I don't have this won't be flat enough for me, I can put some extra pins in here to keep my stitching line straight. I don't want it to get wonky or wavy. And then I'm just going to thread this in and out, all the way up to the top. Keeping the pin there, move it whenever it's safe. Oh, see that? This thread is brutal. Stretch it back out. You can't use long pieces of this basting thread because it gets knotted easily. So I'm going up to the corner. So now I'm here at the corner. I'm going to go up through there, pull it out. I'm keeping these pins in down here because I don't want this to get in my way. So now I'm going to go around. So I'm going to make sure that my edges are flush. And then I'm just going to take this and in and out, all the way around. Right, I have a different view because my other tripod was giving me problems. So now, wow, that's why I don't put the sleeves on, because I want to get this nice, get this under the machine, be nice and flat. So I'm going to start in the back here and dropping it down. And I realized that I am sewing the wrong way. There we go. I don't even know why what I did to change it. All I know is that this way is more, oh, I think I was over here. So I don't want to go this way. I want to go here because I want my seam allowance to the right. So I could sew here, but that means that I really have to follow the line, and I'm not going to have a way to kind of know where my seam allowance, if my seam allowance is straight. Even though I have the line here and I drew the line, it's just good practice to always have your seam allowance to the right. So I'm going to start back here towards the end here. I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle. I'm going to back stitch. And I'm going to go nice and slow. See, this is why I don't want to have the pins in here, because I can't do all this shifting. Here we come to the corner. This is where I'm going to turn and pivot. Go straight down my line. Just move that pin out because I want to keep it there all the way down. And take this pin out. There we go. And lift this up. I'm going to do one stitch across, and I'm going to turn it all the way around. Eek. One more stitch. Okay, that's good. I'm turning it. Making sure nothing's underneath there. So now I'm going to look on the other side. I want to make sure I don't have any tucks, tucks. Tucks, that's what I mean. Because now's the time to that you would want to take it out and fix it before you start clipping into this. Right. So I'm going to start up here. I'm just going to snip into these basting stitches to take them out. Making sure I don't cut my fabric. Understitch is where I'm going to be stitching the seam allowance to the facing. So this edge right here, first I have to clip it and I have to cut into here. But here, so this is the seam, this is the facing, and this is the actual shirt. Here's a seam allowance. So I'm understitching is where you're going to be where you stitch right along this line. You're stitching the seam allowance and the facing together. And you're going to go all the way around. Some areas you cannot reach with the sewing machine. In sewing instructions, it'll just tell you to go as far as you can. So for example, when I get to this corner and I have it turned, it's going to be really hard for me to get the sewing machine right here. So for the V, I actually do it by hand. So now I'm going to do the V. So I'm going to hold this in my hand because I don't want any of that fabric getting in the way. And I'm going to put my scissors right here in my hand. And I'm going to snip all the way down. And I'm going to go all the way to this point. And boop, boop. There. Now I'm going to trim my corner. One, two, three. So I'll do the other corner like that. And then for the curve, all the way around the neck. I'm going to put my notches in here. Making sure that I do not cut in to my shirt or cut in to that stitching line. All this will come out. So what happens is that when the circle, so let me show you here. When I turn this to the inside, I'm going to have all this fabric underneath here. You see what's going to happen? It's going to bunch up. This gets folded under. All bunched up underneath there. So cutting these notches, when you turn it over, what happens is when the fabric goes into the circle, look what happens to the inside. See how the notches create like a little opening? And so pretty much you're creating little darts. And people who are in my Learn to Sew for Absolute Beginners, we talk about darts and we actually sew darts. So this is an example of how sewing is nothing but sewing a whole bunch of darts. Some you can't see, which is in the seam, side seams, hems, and all that. But here's another one. So this is like 1, 2, 3. It's like 4 little darts. So when it's open, it's like that. And as you close the circle to turn everything under, it spreads out and you don't have that bulk. So I'm going to go ahead and do all my trimming, and then I'm going to do the understitching, and then I'll get back. So I need some thread here. So I'm going to take it from my top, my stitching thread. Go ahead and thread my needle close to my face so I can see. I'm not going to wax my needle because I'll probably get up, heat the iron, put the wax on, take it off. But when you're hand sewing, it's a good idea to wax your thread. That's a topic for another video. All right. So now I am ready. So here is the V-neck. Here's the front for the V. So I'm going to make it a nice little V. And then on the inside here, I'm going to start at the very bottom. And I'm going to go through the seam allowance. Make sure I have the full seam allowance. Press to the facing. I'm going to go right through here. And I'm going to pull my, so the prick stitches, now I'm going to go, this is where my stitch came out. So now I'm going to go behind here, just tiny bit. And then I'm going to come up right next to it. That's good enough, like right there. And pull that through. And I got a little boop. So now I'm going to go it's almost like a tiny back stitch. I'm going to go behind it. And then I'm going to go in front of it like that. Boop. Now I got another little one too. The goal is to keep these even and in line. And go here. Boop. When I first started doing it, I literally used my erasable marker and I drew little dots to make them even. And I was like, wait a minute, no one's going to see this except for the person wearing it. Oh, I don't want to get a knot in there. Oop. So you can barely see them. But so here's the machine stitching right here, even. So I'm going to finish this off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have sewn the sleeves on, and again, I'll show you underneath here. We have the French seam going on. Right here is the French seam, so it's nice and clean on the inside. And so this is the wrong sides together because this is the outside of the shirt. And just as I did with the shoulder and with the sleeve, I'm also going to do with the side is sew it together, wrong sides together, 1/4 inch seam allowance, then trim it, fold it so they're right sides, and then sew that down to create the French seam. And then the only thing that I have to do after that, so my hem, or the, what is it, the hem finish of the, is this a hem? Yeah. Of the sleeve is already done. So once these come together, I just have to do a stitch around the end of the sleeve and then give the bottom a quick press, and then stitch that up. And then I will take the stitching out. So that running stitch that's here, that basting stitch that's in here, I will take that out and then give the shirt a nice good press. Oh, and I also have to tack, the facing to the shoulder. Okay, I'm back and this is the finished shirt. I'm just going to film it on the table because I put it on a dress form, and the dress form has boobs and it just changes the look of the shirt. Makes it look like a woman's tunic versus, I mean, I just don't want to have visions or have a video or a picture of this shirt with boobs. We just can't have that, but I love it. And so the first one I made was this green color of cotton gauze, and then this is the second one. And so now that I've pretty much worked out all the bugs, which there weren't any, but you know, I made some alterations. Like this used to be real deep in the original pattern. I think this opening comes to, like, you know, right about here. So, you know, I think, you know, that would be suitable for, you know, my son, you know, but my husband's not trying to have the opening all down there like that. But this is definitely a great pattern for linen. So that's what I want to do next, but not right now. So I am done with making his shirts for our trip. I just have to get some t-shirts because he wants some graphic tees, and so I have to do that. And then I have to finish my dress up, and then I got to start making my shorts, and I'm hoping to get to a bathing suit and a cover up. So I'm not sure if I can get it all done within the next month and a half. It's pretty aggressive. But anywho, this is the shirt. Let me back up. See it on my table. And I think he's gonna like it. Let me call him downstairs. And here it is.
Ooh, I got glasses to match. I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And you got shorts to wear with this?
I told you already. Black.
Okay.
This is beautiful.
It'll go. I know it is.
That's beautiful.
It is. It looks comfortable.
Oh, it looks very. I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right, you can take it with you.
Where's the other one?
Upstairs.
Okay.